So we're here today in Broadmeadows at
Bright
Plants with Adrian from EcoStream Water Management. We'll tag all his information below the video and on the audio. Adrian's been kind enough to let us come and have a look at what they're doing here, and we've also had a really good chat. So we're going to call this one a deep dive. Hope you enjoy. So we're at the front of Bright Futures, spelled B-R-I-T-E. I'm guessing that's someone's last name. And we're meeting Adrian Walsh from EcoStream Water Management. And I'm guessing that we're going here. This is pretty cool. It looks like they're growing herbs and vegetables. Hey! Good to see you, mate. I started to feel like we looked a bit awkward standing at the front of this place with like luggage and stuff. So you said that 90% of the work here was drainage?
Drainage and earth moving.
So what does your business, is your business is an irrigation business first?
It's an irrigation business first, but where we've found a sweet spot is kind of filling this gap between civil and irrigation.
Yeah, because no one's doing it, or
Because no one, well, I'll give you an idea. On this particular project, they asked 10 companies to price it.
What, and they didn't even price it?
And only 2 of us got back.
Yep.
And the reason that we're loving the earth moving world is that we don't own a lot of machinery. We own some small stuff, just towable. But we got some really good access to some crash shot operators.
Yeah, okay. Which is like the key.
It's the key. So and it's quite amazing. I use my brother's company, which is Ground Technique.
Yep.
And he used to race at a pretty high level of motocross.
Yep.
And he uses a bunch of his mates who used to race at that level all started earth moving businesses. Yeah. And there's this thing, they've just got this thing with machinery.
Yeah, because they used to make jumps from the age of 10.
That's right. Yeah. So jumps, and you quite often find like guys who are good at racing a car will also be good at racing a motorbike.
Yeah.
So this machinery thing just sort of clicks with them.
Yeah.
And they're all quite small businesses. Like my brother's business has 3 machines, but if he can't get to my site, he'll send a really great operator.
And so you've got this kind of priority access, because they don't have to do it. And that's that relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
They could go, we'll do it because it's for Walshy.
That's right, exactly. And so my thought is, why not step into this earth moving world? People trust us as an irrigation company, and if we've got these subcontractors. And I don't particularly like owning machinery. I find it a bit painful. Yep.
And then there'd be people that love it.
And so they own it, they deal with it, we just project manage it. Yep. And we find that we sit well in this space that's sort of half civil, half irrigation, and then full irrigation.
So the business name EcoStream Water Management, was it always that name, or did that kind of evolve because you started going into more water management than just irrigation?
We wanted to leave it open enough where we could expand into. When we found where we wanted to sit in the industry, water management could cover a number of things. Yep. So if we decided to be completely irrigation, it'd be fine. And if we decided to one day, not that I think we'll go down this road, build wetlands, it would also cover it. So that's where it's sort of sitting. Yeah, so we'll go.
Let's head inside. So it's you. Yeah. You've got a partnership?
So I've got a partnership, and of course when you start a partnership, people are like, oh, you got to be careful. I'm
one of them. I'm like...
Yeah. I did my apprenticeship with Richard originally.
Okay.
And we had a really good relationship, and we both had, after I stopped working for him, I then went out, did some things with some other companies for a little while, learned a ton of stuff. And then went and started my own business, and I was pretty much a one-man show for a couple of years.
In irrigation or plumbing?
In irrigation, yeah. And I really love just being around people, talking, just enjoy a relationship, and so that was a bit isolating really for quite a while to have. And then I moved, my wife and the kids moved from the Dandenong to the Mornington Peninsula, and what I didn't know was Richard had also moved with his family down there, and we ran into each other.
Well, so you hadn't seen him for a period?
For a couple of years, and we ran into each other and got chatting, and he had a job coming up that he needed some help on, so I went and I vice versa, I used him, and then we started toying with the idea over about a year of we subbed to one another. of trying to actually go into partnership. So we tested it for a year first.
I've seen it. I work a lot in Adelaide where two guys will work together, but they'll still own their own like sole trading business, and they'll just invoice back and forth for their hours, or it kind of balances out. So you tried that style first.
We tried it for a year or so, and then we dreamed a bit bigger than that, and thought, well, you can't keep that model. It's a bit confusing for customers.
Yeah, true.
We want to present a united.
It's kind of that half pregnant, like.
Yeah.
You kind of, if you're going to go out there and try and target those high-end clients, you want them to know that you're serious about it, and it's not just like, we're not sure either, but use us.
Yeah, that's right. And so, and to really become a proper legitimate business, we needed to really come under the one banner.
And to be a company.
Yep. And so we got a branding. It was really, so Richard did have a business beforehand called Eco Water, and my business was Extreme Water Solutions.
Okay, yeah, so...
And that was like a first joke, we should just combine them. And then when we got a branding person to come in, and she was awesome, and we kind of went right around to a whole lot of different names, and we kind of came back to EcoStream.
And paid her multi-thousands of dollars to tell you that the
right.
idea you had first was the good idea.
But she bought a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
She helped us to focus into the world we wanted to be in at that stage, and what to brand to. And
so what her business was a branding, marketing company?
Yeah, we were her first client.
Okay.
And so she really put a lot of work. We got real bang for our buck with it, because she put all the effort into it. Yeah.
I can get that. I remember the first irrigation design and quote that I did when I started Waterpro. It was to the meter, man. Like, I reckon they said that the main line they had left over was like a piece that they could have just put in the backpack and bring it back to the shop. I measured everything, because you've got a lot more time. Not that we don't have a lot of time now. Yeah. We've got more people now.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you created a partnership. Yep. I'm guessing that you guys have quite well-defined roles. One of the things that I understand from my experience with partnerships is that if you don't kind of make it clear at the start, it can be dirty, because you both have different expectations around each other.
So Richard, the reason it works is because Richard is quite happy to sit in the looking over projects area. The hydraulics, the design, he's an irrigation designer. He's pretty highly qualified as well. And he's really happy for me to take the business where I feel it needs to go.
Yeah, okay, so you can be the CEO, and he can be the COO, if you want to look at it like that.
Yeah, and we're starting to come to the point 3 years down the track of actually properly defining the roles. Yep. Because we've been able to, as we've got staff, so there's 7 staff, including Richard and I in the business.
Yep. That's a good number.
We've been able to start giving some staff some of those responsibilities. Yep. It's taken a little while to get there, but we've got a really brilliant team. Just fun. Everyone loves coming to work.
I hear you, man.
We've got and it's taken some time to get to that point, but I really love the staff we have on, and if you ask them, I believe they'd say they love working here as well. Yeah,
and your modesty is the only thing stopping you from saying that that's guaranteed. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. So what, have you had any challenges, I guess, going from that 2 to 7? For me, I find that, we've got around 12, including me now, and I guess that policy and procedure side of things tends to be the weakness for our business, because we've just grown so quickly, and it's always been the direct, like you just kind of do it, and then you expect everyone else to learn as well. But
scaling has been a bit of an issue, because everything's in my head and Richard's head. Yeah. And so the policies and procedures thing, it's really, in a way it's really easy. If you want to comply,
buy it.
You can buy it. But we truly are, we're at a point now, and there's a lot happening. When we're sitting down now, right now is probably, it feels like we're at just this point right now. We're doing so much to improve.
So not the most ideal time. Oh, I thought you meant like you're being busy. I'm like,
no,
not the most ideal time to sit down with me for an hour.
Oh no, that's okay. I'm not talking project level, although we're busy.
But you're in a good purple happy kind of company.
Yep. So we're working on, for example, policies and procedures. We're now building everyone from scratch.
So rather than just buying them to comply, you're building them because
you
care.
Practice.
Yeah, because you want
best
it to.
Practice. Which is meant rethinking everything. And so in the way I estimate, because I'm trying to build it so I still want to be involved in this business, but I want to be able to hand everything I do to someone else. Yeah. And so when it comes to costing, there's a bunch of things. You know, how do I get everything that's in my mind? Like, for example, why would I charge more for a job?
Yep.
Well, I charge based on risk. I think anyone would.
Yep.
If you've got a job that's miles away from where you work, you naturally, I'm not giving it any.
Or the conditions of the access to the site. So if you can only work 6 hours a day, but you have to drive 2 hours each way, and
So of course those ones, I'm not giving away anything. No secrets here. Anyone would charge.
But
more for that.
your instinct or your thought process around that, you need to get it out and put it on paper so that someone else.
So one thing that we've done is we've got a business coach and mentor that I use. With her help, we've created a risk matrix. And so that gives us a number.
And that legit, like, as in, I'd love to see that. So it's just a number. So you've got,
so
this is the risk.
Falls between this number and this number.
This is the risk, this is the number.
Yep, we've got about 12 points at the moment.
Yeah, and that'll obviously be an elastic document. It's, something will happen, you go, oh shit, we didn't.
Yep. So, but that is the best way. It may not be the way to go. There might be some falling over in it, but this is something we're trialing, going, okay, well, can I get someone else to price based on these 12 different risks that we have?
And then you try that for 6 months, and maybe you price a job, they price a job, and you see how what your old instinct does and what their new matrix does. Yeah. You'll probably find you make more money.
So that's, like I said, we had to rethink everything. And how do I give my staff a bit more permission?
Is there a number on, you can buy anything under this?
Yes, that was another policy and procedure we brought into place recently. I shouldn't say we brought it into place, we're about to bring it into place because it's just all happened. And so now there's a dollar value that they're allowed to spend without asking me.
Which is funny, but it'll save you that money. Because I think it was Tim Ferriss in the 4 Hour Work Week talked about that with his... he had like an offshore company that were doing distribution of his things, and whenever there was a complaint, they'd ring him and email him, and he said, look, anything under $100 US, just give it to them, like whatever it is, because it's not worth my time having this conversation, and it keeps the brand. I mean, it'd be the same with your guys. If it's a tool that they need to do the job, provided they haven't lost the same tool 10 times and you've got an issue with the staff member, just go buy the tool that you need to do the job.
So it's a lot of this stuff's bringing some freedom for me to focus on the things that I really want to be in. And I really enjoy being in the irrigation industry, but there's parts that I don't want to do, I don't like dealing with.
What's your ideal job? Talking to people?
So talking to people, being involved in sales, and also being involved in the projects, helping to create how we're going to carry them out. So
like a strategy
around the projects. So building the Gantt chart, sitting down with the guys, asking them how they reckon we should build it, and then sort of coming up with a solution. That little bit of time at the start makes all the difference, and it's so simple. Like I said, there's nothing new here, but it really is simple. The less we really found that the projects where we hadn't put the planning in at the start, or there was some unknowns, they're the ones that weren't as successful.
It's like that measure twice, cut once, or what was the one that I was telling you, DK? Like 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Like whenever we carry, we don't have 2 cameras, and we probably will at one point. Well, we don't carry 2 cameras, but that was from Tim Ferriss as well. Like the Navy SEALs, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Like always have a spare, because you're gonna need it, and if you don't, then you're screwed. And I think preparing, like you're saying, you probably wouldn't be surprised that all of the people you compete with probably are struggling with the same. Like they're not preparing, they're not doing, because it's rushed, and then they're going, we'll just get started on site and we'll deal with the Gantt chart later, or we'll just get started on site and we'll deal with that later, and then you never do. I think you're a lot like me. I'm the same. I enjoy the process of the business and the strategy and the meetings and all that, but I don't want to do the estimating. I don't want to do the like pricing matrices. I want to say this is what I think we should do, and then have someone else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's great. And I'm at that point now. We've got your next 5 staff. I feel like now that I've got that many, I can be that guy. I don't know how that will challenge out as a partnership, because if you both want kind of like strap jobs, but if he's really loving,
Rich sits really well in the design world, and that's where he finds heaps of excitement.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
But that's why it works well. And what it comes down to, of course, there's been along the way differences of opinion and stuff, but the one thing that we've got is trust between us. Like that's 100%. I trust Rich and he trusts me, and no matter what else we think, well,
it's like any like relationship or one-on-one, like a marriage. You know, you're never going to agree about how you bring up the kids or even what you're going to have for dinner, but that trust. I think communication and trust. Yeah. You know, if you can tell them that you're not happy and they can go, well, I hear you, but we're doing it anyway, or you know, and that you trust them. So, what I guess he takes care of design. What's the core business at the moment? Irrigation predominantly. Yeah,
so it's irrigation. We're probably doing around probably 30% domestic. Yep. Maybe 20% these, like this style of project, which I was just telling you about with the drainage and stuff. We built a pretty big water feature recently, which was a pretty exciting job to be involved in.
I'm laughing because that was my intention when I first started Waterpro. It was going to be a water feature company.
Yeah, okay.
That's another story.
So this was a pretty major water feature, and the rest would be commercial irrigation. The bulk of what we do is design.
What do you want to be doing the most of? Where's your sweet spot?
Yeah, we're still trying to find it, to be completely honest. But I like being involved in projects that have a little bit of quirkiness to them.
So the water feature would have been exciting.
The water feature was exciting. It was pretty stressful. Yeah. There were some really stressful parts to it, but we've found that we've taken the most pride when there's something a little bit different or a challenge that we've been able to come up with a solution for. Yep. Where someone was being told, a customer was being told, no, it can't be done.
Well, like this is obviously, you mentioned outside that you're only one of two that quoted from the 10.
From the 10, yeah.
You know, but everyone, I guess, I don't know how buoyant the Victorian market is in your world at the moment, and if things are good because they're good, or if you're doing well because it's because of you. I have the same. I don't know. You know, in Adelaide, I'm like, are we good or is the market good? Like,
I don't know. I don't know where we sit either. Of that.
Don't look over the fence. You just look forward and do what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. The most look, and really, what I see, if I can run a business where I can work pretty normal hours and I can get home and be with the kids, and I don't have to take over the world here.
So that's you're not. It's not becoming this much dollars. It's finding
just a balance, a really good balance where I can go to something the kids have on, or go out for lunch with my wife, or be involved in the lives of my friends and catch up with mentors during the week. I've got a bunch of business mentors I see, but I've also just got a bunch of guys who are older, 60s, 70s, who can sit down with me and they just bring everything a bit back into perspective. They pull me into a bigger story than just EcoStream.
Yeah, I get that. I had a business coach for probably 5 years, and we spoke about this when we saw each other in Sydney. The mentor side of things, I think that it truly works when it's not a paid thing, and when it's actually people that have made it in whatever capacity that they believe is making it, and if they're happy in their personal life, financially and spiritually and family wise, and then want to give something back to someone that they see that they like, or they're like, this kid reminds me of me, I want to throw him some advice. You haven't paid for any mentorship?
No, only our business consultant, where they're not really operating as mentors.
That's more accounting style consultant.
Yep. But no, I don't pay the mentors, and it's amazing how available they're making themselves to me.
Yeah. And like you feel not guilty, but like
they're chasing me down.
Yeah.
And
they want to see you do well.
They want to see me do well, and they want to see a balance there in my life where I'm not going to destroy my marriage or
like
something.
You become the richest single guy in Melbourne kind of thing. It doesn't work, does it?
They don't want to. They, in a way, they're sort of chasing after me personally, just to go, we can see where you were, and all of these guys have got stories where they nearly lost something big because of the way they were chasing business, and they're all driven guys. They all were driven guys at some stage, and some. One of them that I see, he at one stage did lose everything in terms of marriage, finances, houses, everything. he's come back from that.
Yeah.
And
that'd be such a cool thing to watch. I know that he probably thinks, Jesus Christ, you don't want to be anywhere near it, but imagine like the climb and watch it, like having a camera with you for that.
Yeah.
Like,
So.
I'm not going to go broke to prove it, but
and I had to ask myself, okay, during the stressful times, like, and even actually before I go into that, even in a way, and he wouldn't say that he's mentoring me, but in a way, my old boss Chris Logan, who's got Think Water Melbourne, we chat about stuff, and at one stage I asked him, all right, I've done this for 3 years, tell me I'd do it for the next 40 because this is like pretty hard work.
Yeah.
And he freely gave up some pretty good advice.
Yeah.
And it was pretty amazing to hear that from Chris, and for him to, essentially we're competitors.
Yeah.
But even him, he's now in his mid-60s, and he is just like, you know what, maybe 40 years ago I would have said, no, I don't want anything to do with you. But he had some concern for me and said, oh, Adrian, you need to consider this stuff.
Yep.
So that was quite amazing.
Amazing that you were told that firstly, because if you hadn't been told, then you wouldn't know. But the fact that he was willing to share information with a competitor. It's funny, man. I mean, we've got competitors, obviously, all around the country, but in South Australia. And there's some that you'd happily help, and there's others that you'd be like, I want to watch you burn. But for your own reasons.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you've got a good relationship with this guy, I mean, we've got relationships with some of our competitors where if they need something, sometimes they'll run out of some drip tube, or they'll need a sprinkler for a job, and we've got the only ones in the country or the state, then cool. Yeah. But if it's some of them, it's just like... Yeah. So the mentor, you were about to go down the line of talking about one of the other mentors? Yeah.
I've probably lost my thoughts.
So these guys, how do you come across, obviously to have that many people in your life, you're either asking the universe for these people, or they're finding you, or they're family, friends, or... So I've
got, so we are involved in my wife and I are involved in a local church. My wife is a minister of a children's pastor of a church. And one of the guys, I went along to this church for the first time, and it's just a Churches of Christ, nothing too out of the ordinary. It's and this one guy, he came up to me and we got chatting. He goes, "What do you do?" And pretty normal first question, and said, "I've got a business." He goes, "I've got a bunch of guys who have a business group, and you should come along to it." And we meet one Friday a month, and so I went there. There's about 30 people. Extremely successful people. Like I couldn't believe I was amongst them, to be honest. And they were trying to, I guess as a group, they were trying to work out where they sit with faith and business and money. Some of them had publicly listed businesses.
Yeah, like what's our liability towards our faith? Like, should we be supporting it more or less? Or
how driven should we be?
Yeah.
And most of the time, like we'd get there and they'd be talking about how to handle stress or worry or something like that. And so that's how I came across the bulk of these guys. And
which kind of removes the like what's in it for them question. Because whenever something like that comes up, I'm like, what do you want? But obviously, if you've met them in an environment like that, you're right, mate. Do you want us to pause while you fix your camera? No, that's all right. If you've met them in an environment like that, you know that they're actually good people. They're trying to help you for, I guess, selfless reasons.
And I've been careful to not just go down that business mentor road, to also get to balance it out.
Because you're like ridiculously educated, but you're not actually doing any business. All you're doing is meeting with mentors all the time.
So and so to also talk to some other guys out of the... So there's really two main mentors I see out of that group. And there's one other ideal I see out of the business world who do we just
more like a life
family stuff. And that's a similar situation though. It's not paid. We just catch up.
It's cool. It's I guess as we become into our 30s and we're both quite similar in age, you kind of start to separate a little bit from the high school friends that you may have had, and then you've got some kids, and then especially if you're a business owner, and a male business owner especially, I mean, I'll probably get dragged through a sexist rant for this, but it's hard to find your place in the world because you're trying to be, you're trying to kill it there, and you're trying to kill it there, and you want to support your family, and you want to support you want to make sure your business is successful, and you're trying to find people around you. You're trying to lift up the average of the people that you spend the most time with to ensure that you're being the very best you can be.
Yeah.
And so you're almost like out there hunting for a new herd or a group of,
Well, it was sort of like as when I started the business, I was really driven. Like I wanted, we wanted to grab everything. We wanted to grab whatever opportunity it was. 3 years down the track, I now realise that opportunity wasn't ever the problem.
No.
And as I've calmed down a little bit on chasing all the opportunity, the right ones seem to be coming to us. Yep. And what's quite amazing, as like I said, it's almost like people prefer to deal with someone who's not so driven, and focusing more on the outcome for the customer. So rather than the sale, really focusing on what they're really trying to chase.
I found that, I guess, we've done a similar thing, and that we call it our value structure. So we've got these values that we adhere to, and if the client doesn't fit inside the structure of values, then we say no to them. And I find that when the market finds out that we have that and that we want to deal with them, they go, okay, they're not just taking anything that comes in the door. They have a strict guidelines around who they want to deal with, and we fit that. That's good. And it's helped us, I guess, reduce the amount of bad debt that we have, the stresses that our staff have. The expectations are clear at the start. Like, if you act like this, we're not going to deal with you. So I guess what you're saying is kind of a similar thing, but you're saying opportunity more than client avatar in a way.
Yeah. Well, and we've got to a point with a lot of our clients, especially the ones, our repeat clients, is where I can have really great conversation out of project stuff, and that's what I was saying before. I just love being involved with people, and the right people, and meeting with people and catching up and chatting and seeing where they're sitting in their personal lives, and there's been times where it certainly moves away from business, and I can speak into someone's life who comes to me and says they've got this issue, and we can be pretty transparent with each other, and there's been some times where on projects, in fact, I had one recently where we made a mistake under quoting a section of a project, and we're wearing it, but I've just been able to talk to the business owner and say, look, you just need to understand that next time, and this was all really friendly conversation, that I can't charge that because we actually made a mistake.
So if the project was mirrored again next week, it's not going to be the same per metre or per square metre cost.
And this was just a zoning. I actually made the mistake in what I was going to charge for new customer contributions. I don't know if they've got this in South Australia, but in some of the new areas, if you need to put a new water tapping on a site, you got to pay the water authority a new customer contribution.
So, as in the site's already got a water meter?
Doesn't yet.
Okay.
So there's a water main running past the site, and you need to ring up the water authority and say, we need a water meter here, and they go, oh, okay, new customer, you need to pay this amount for that site.
I'd assume we'd have that. I can't see them doing it for nothing. But
and we made a mistake where City of West Water have got multiple zones where they say, all right, if you're in this zone, the new customer contribution fee will be this amount. If you're in another, it'll be this amount. And we fell within a zone by about 1 kilometre on a big area. So we thought we were going to be in the $670 zone, and we ended up in the $2,500 zone. But and that's for a 20 mil tapping. Jesus. If you want a 32, we needed a 32 mil, so you times that by 3. So they say if it's your new customer contribution, if it's a 25, is 2 times that.
So 20 is 1, 25 is 2, 32 is 3, so 40 is 4. Jeez.
50 is 10, and then it goes per site. Like they just.
Then you just give them one of your kids. Jesus. And this is a meter. That's the crazy thing. This is a meter that's used to measure the water that they're selling to the client.
So that's right. And like I said, this was just and it's part of a much bigger project. It can be worn. But it's essentially made a $6,000. It sucks big time.
Well, I was saying to DK, on the plane here that I like people that I guess are like us, and some people just get it and some people don't. And I think the reason you and I get along well is because you just get it. Because it's a mistake, but in the interest of moving forward, you just fix it.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of suppliers who are like would be like, sorry,
yeah,
that's your fault. That's your problem now. I'm like, no, you made a mistake. You fix it.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be a courier charge or a Rainbird are a good one for giving warranty on product that shouldn't really be warranted, just in the interest of
the relationship,
the brand maintaining its brand and the relationship maintaining its relationship. So, where do you tender for most of your work? Are you in that kind of market now, or is it a lot of it's relationship based?
We tender for a little bit. We don't do a whole lot of public tenders.
So you're not out there chasing. You're not on tenders. What is it? Tenders
Oh,
Victoria?
I am. I'm on them.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see if something really interesting comes up. But I tend not to go for if a parkland came out and they were after irrigation, I probably wouldn't go for it now.
Because of the competitive nature of it, or it's just not work that you want to be doing?
Well, competitive nature and the amount of work I have to put in the tendering process just doesn't seem to pay off.
Yep.
So
there's companies in Victoria that have 50 staff or 100 staff that they're got
structured,
4 people.
Probably not that big, but they're structured properly to be able to take on that type of
because
work.
they've got a person that takes care of the tender, a person that takes care of the rollout, a person that takes care of that. Yep. Whereas that's all you.
That's all me at the moment. So whereas being in so part of what we do is large scale domestic projects.
Yep. So what's large scale? Like above 1,000 square metre block, or are you talking like 5 acre?
Oh, yeah. So it goes. So we can do anywhere from 1,000 square metres, and I think we've on domestic site gone up to about 5 acres.
Yep.
Which is pretty decent installation.
Well, I'm assuming you're talking about near where you live, or in that area.
On the peninsula.
Yeah. So there's some hobby farm, because obviously I don't know Victoria that well.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that I'm coming here and meeting guys like you is to try and understand more about the market.
So the peninsula has certainly got that, people with some acreage. Seems to be a lot of people retiring to the peninsula, and they had a really beautiful property in Melbourne somewhere, are in the inner eastern suburbs, and they're moving to the peninsula and they've bought an acre and they want that beautiful garden on the peninsula. And so Peninsula's been a really great space to be operating a business in. So that's in the domestic world. And in the commercial world, we're finding that developing the relationships, so mainly in that world, we're not operating as a principal contractor. We're coming as a subcontractor to a landscaper or a builder.
Which is the reality of your place in the market, isn't it?
So
you just have to make sure you've got good relationships with landscape architects, not even
landscapers,
landscapers.
And we've got some brilliant relationships with landscapers, and we know the people we want to work for, and they've got our back, and we've got theirs. So it's been a really great building on those relationships, and a lot of the work is really good work. Some of it's high end, and some of it's not. I'm not so interested in chasing high end work.
Is that because you don't? Well, why don't you want to chase?
I find that people get really competitive when something's prestigious,
and they'll win it because they want it, not and the price. I get that. And there'll be jobs. I mean, we've got jobs. There's some jobs that I want that are geographically desirable because they're next door to a competitor.
Yeah.
And that then becomes, very competitive because it's just interesting for me to supply next to a competitor. But so they're going, okay, well, we're working on this street, which is now the most famous street in Melbourne. Yeah. So they'll get it. They'll drop their price. Yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't make sense. I understand it, but I think it's stupid.
If the MCG came up to re-irrigate, everyone would go for it, and someone would install it for next to nothing to...
Well, the irrigation supplier would probably give them the stuff for free.
Yeah.
Because they want to have the MCG as a Rainbird track or a Toro track or...
So, and I think that happens, and I try to sort of steer clear of all the politics.
I don't know, Adelaide Oval just got redone, and I'm sure it was competitive. That was a Victorian company that won it.
Okay.
So how's that?
Yeah, okay.
So they came over and installed it.
Yeah, okay.
That's... And we've definitely got the people to do it, so that might have been one of those situations where they've gone, we want that. Yeah. We want that feather in our cap.
Yeah.
And you're not going to... What are you going to do?
And there seems to be some companies that are now really just specialising in sports fields. Be interesting to see with the women's AFL if I've got a feeling
it's like another 30 ovals become.
I think I don't know if it's a plan. There's been a bit of rumour. I read in one of the papers that that's what's being planned, about 90 new sports fields over the next 5 years.
Well, they're going to need to get A grade. I don't know what your standard is over here. They've got obviously standards in states around, the grass and how, the cleg meter. They like ram it and test how soft it is. And if they're going to have these high profile players, men or women, playing on those grounds, they're going to have it at that standard, which means irrigation and drainage and
and I mean then they're getting really at the they're using sports field consultants and all that because they're brand new builds. So perhaps we'll be involved in that. At this point in time, we've just found that sports field world too competitive. So.
And you'll find that, as with anything, it'll be competitive, and then a couple of them will disappear because they won't make any money because times will become lean, and then you'll still be there, and then who knows, in 5 to 7 years you might only be doing sports fields because the market's up here again, and they just want it done by someone that can do it properly.
So we're just willing to just ride the wave about where we sort of, where we go, but remaining pretty open-minded about it. I'm excited to go down a bunch of different avenues.
But again, like you said before, opportunity's never been the issue. You want to make sure that you're making the right decisions. Yeah, I hear you. That family side of things. I mean, I've quite publicly said that I want to build Waterpro to quite a big company, and the only thing that there's two things that will restrict me. One will be my health, and the other one will be family. At some point, when a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old turns around and says, "Who are you?" I don't see you anymore. So that's one thing that one of the mentors said to me was like, just be careful of that, because a lot of blokes say, "Oh, I'm doing this for my family," but if in 20 years' time they never you're doing it to feed your ego. That's why I'm doing it. My family have got what they need. I could go get a job, and I'm straight up. It's not even about the money for what I'm doing. Mine's all ego. Mine's just to have the biggest one, just to win. It's like, I don't know. I guess. I've never played sport much as a kid. I didn't, I grew up just with single mum and had custody visits with my dad, but I couldn't really do sport. And when I did, I wasn't great at it. Like, I was always going to be like a C grade anything. So for me, business is like the game that I know how to play. And if I'm going to play it, I might as well be all in.
Do it well.
So, but then I've also, I'm a very, very active dad. So it's hard, which, you mentioned before about having quality relationships with your friends. That's what's had to suffer for me. Is that, Celeste will be like, "We're going to go do this." I'm like, I just can't. Like, we've got a small window of time with the kids, as in Saturday and Sunday. That's our time. We've got to do this, but I might have to work Sunday, or Celeste's back working 3 days a week. So then I'll pick up. I've got the young ones from childcare on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So I'm doing it, but then I'm like, are my actions matching my ambition? Because I'm saying I want a $100 million a year company. I don't realistically. It'd be interesting to see if I can build it balanced. That'll be the challenge. To go, I did it, and I only did it 45 hours a week. Like, I don't know, but it's and I guess that's why I'm at this stage when the kids are young. That's why I've just tried to step back a little bit, because the temptation that I could get pulled into a place where I'm really driven again. It is a real temptation. It is something that's an ego thing and a pride thing. But I'm just trying to hold off and go, you know what, maybe this is the decade in my 30s of spending time with the kids and building the most
brilliant
ridiculous
relationships.
Foundation. You imagine the foundation you can
strong foundation, a solid foundation. To maybe in my 40s,
just
kids a bit older,
change gears and off you go.
Change gears a little bit. We've got a solid base to build on.
So,
and that's just a matter of patience and waiting and
it's so hard though, eh?
Oh, 100% it's hard. 100% it's hard. And look, I've got a bunch of guys that we meet with every second Thursday. We meet up for a couple of beers and we just press into a bunch of things, 4 of us, into each other's, what's going on in each other's worlds. And they're not in business, those other 3 guys. But we sort of just doing life together.
Is that something that's, and I know the answer to the question already, you don't have an agenda for that, but it's kind of like, you're not just catching up and throwing some bets on the dogs and having a beer. Like you actually are talking about.
We're talking about this, yeah. So we are 100% pressing in
to support each other.
To support each other, yeah. So
how did that come about? Like, is it something that you just all started doing?
I started doing it with them. I asked them, I guess, to be involved in walking closely together with one another, sort of pushing beyond what normal Aussie
just standard
bloke relationships.
Yeah, because it's like as you're telling it to me, I'm like, that's such a good idea. Like, I should do that because I struggle to find those connections in my organic world. So I think I have to actually go out and, you know.
We're at a point now. We've been doing this for a fair while now, and probably around about a year and a half. And I wish I could remember the quote, and I don't want to sound like one of these wankers that brings quotes out. And I'm going to when I say it.
I'm one of those wankers, don't worry about it.
But this is something that we've been living by. And it goes something along the lines of find like-minded kings, create treaties, and when they go to war, you go to war.
Yeah.
And so we've gone to war for a couple of these guys. And that looks like...
I'm getting shivers down my spine. I'm getting shivers. But it's so cool. And like one of the questions that I ask in our podcast is there a quote or mantra you live by? So I guess I open it up and give people permission to throw their douchey quotes out. But that's great, like, because it's true, you know. And I think I've got those treaties with a lot of my friends, but they're not. It's not formalised. It's not like let's help each other, let's grow together. And I think that's one thing that churches are great for, is that everyone wants to see the whole community grow. Yeah. And so they'll help each other first. And obviously if you've then kind of got whether or not it's church or not, but you've got a kind of more pointed crew, your gang, that you can go.
We've been really careful about not be completely inclusive in this group. Yeah. Like it's been about...
It's just you guys.
It's just us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
well, then how? Because it's like, then how do they get to benefit? It'd be like having a partnership now, and then you're adding a third partner, and with no financial buy-in. Yeah, you're going, well, hang on. What about the things what we've built now? Yeah, you know.
Yeah. So it seems really, really selfish, and in that
but you have
world,
to be in a way.
In that world that we're in the Christian world that I'm operating in there, that's sort of like a no. You're meant to be really inclusive, but we've decided to be more pointed.
Though? Inclusive to your demise?
That's right. So that's why we decided with this particular group, it's us four. Yeah. And I believe that the lives of some of those guys have been saved through that group. Yeah, that's great. And what I mean by saved is like relationships, marriage, finances, everything has been saved.
Because men don't talk about this shit.
No.
They just bottle it up, either deal with it by drinking or taking drugs, or being a delinquent, or they just hold it in and stress it out and die. Like there's it's not an accepted thing for men to go, hey, I need help in society, and it's getting better, and obviously there's a lot of help there for people, with regards to I guess charities and associations, but to be able to then go facilitate that. Yeah. Especially if you're the one potentially right now, if you're the one with the strongest shoulders, and you grab three more and go, let's be a group. Yeah. Because at some point I'm not going to be the one with the strongest shoulders, and I'm going to need you to hold me up for a bit. It's,
And look, these guys, we were meeting together with the guys and the girls, so they're all most of them married, and then we were meeting for about 3 years like that, and quite deliberately like that. And then we decided to break off. The girls meet as well on the alternate Thursdays.
Yep. Oh, cool. So then the kids are covered. Yep. You get one-on-one time with your kids.
Their Thursdays look really different to ours. Yep. They go out for dinner and go watch movies and stuff.
Yeah. And that's more just like time away from life.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And that works really well for the girls. Yep.
But you guys are you're more...
We're a bit more serious about it. No, please don't. No, they're really serious about it.
Oh, God. Mrs. Walsh. I'm just sorry, I keep looking at my phone. It's just because I'm conscious of the time that we've got in the room.
Okay. Yeah. So, no, but that's been really great. And then probably once a month, once every 2 months.
But who's to say what's right? And we talked about parenting before, and saying you're doing it for your kids. I think it's really important to also remember that it's okay to be selfish but just remember that it's not, like if you say it's for the kids, make sure it's for the kids.
Yeah.
But you need to be partially selfish in that as well. And that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to everyone, but you know, your selfishness becomes selflessness because you're now powerful enough to help other people because you've let yourself have that 1 hour massage or that whatever it is, that 2 hours with that with your, do you have a name? Is it
What's
like
that?
the Four Kingsmen or something?
No, we don't have a name.
The Four
we
Kings.
don't have a name. We don't have a name. So, maybe, no, I don't think we'll call it the Four Kingsmen either.
Maybe that's, yeah, next time I see you, I'll ask him. I'm conscious of time. Do you want to go hit the...
Yeah.
We'll do a site tour. So we're at a place called Bright.
Plants.
So they do... they're a business that was started.
I don't know the ins and outs of their business. I think they've got a packaging site. I'm pretty sure. I know they're closely involved. I'm going to get something wrong here, but I know they're closely involved with the NDIS scheme.
So they're a business that has people with disability working here.
Yeah.
And they've branched into horticulture, which is where you come in.
Yeah.
So we'll head out there now and we'll have a look at the, I guess the work that you've done and what you're doing.
What we're going to be doing.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover while we're here?
No, you're just that you'll be looking at a pretty blank site at the moment.
Yeah,
we can sort of build what we're doing.
This isn't being made for Hollywood. This is for people that are in our market. They'll be interested.
Yep, cool. So that probably went a tad deeper than you thought. But
that's good. That's why I like this stuff, because you can talk to me all you want about PVC pipe, but I think that there's a lot of men in our market that will benefit from having heard you say, "Hey, I've got a group of guys that, you know." Did you say the toilets was down? No, down there.
Yeah, just down.
I've got a group of guys that I talk to about X, Y, and Z, and it helps me, you know. But I for one, have just gone, I need to create that. I don't know what that looks like, because it might take me a while, but at least as I'm meeting new people now, I might be more inclined to go, hey, have you thought about maybe being in my gang? My Four Kingsmen? I'm guessing you didn't slot that yourself.
No, we've had to do that before, and that's
I know. I don't think the white dust that comes off of that pipe is good for the human lung. All right, so you mentioned before that this site had some drainage issues that you guys have had to deal with.
Yeah, so
are these your guys?
This is all our staff.
Yep. So we can film in here.
We can film. This is a subcontractor here, but these are all our staff.
Yep.
So this site was a reasonably flat site, and they want to create more area for growing, which requires basically a large area of blue metal crushed rock to be put down. The nursery industry have got a standard that to adhere to if you're going to create an area like this.
Compulsory now?
It's not compulsory.
It's
highly recommended, and if you want to get certification through them, this is how you need to build it. We don't have a whole lot of fall on this site. This whole area is pretty flat.
Well, it's like what, 300 or 400 from here to there.
Yeah. So what we did was and you can't even tell, and I still need to get a roller in before we lay the bulk of the plastic. So we're lining some trenches here.
And that's just a standard like half mil. What is it called? Like a 0.1 mu or?
So what, the crushed rock?
No, the plastic. Like that's just a standard black plastic.
A 200. It's a 200 micron.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's like a builder's film, pretty much.
So they would use that, like a Forticon but black.
Yep. So what we have is we've cut the site into 3 Vs, and you can barely tell there's a V here, but it's only 1 in 70. So where Richard's standing now on the phone, he's standing almost at the top of one of the Vs.
Hang on a sec. So the Vs, like these are coming in. Oh,
no, the Vs like
they're
this.
Going out.
Like this.
No shit.
Right? So we've used a...
sorry, I can see it now. Yeah. So now he's on a high point, you can see it. Yep.
We've used a dual grade laser, and we've cut them flat down to each end, and then we've got these, and obviously the Bobcat's been running over it, but we've run these to grade at 1 in 100.
Yep.
We're laying 2 90mm slotted drain pipes in each of the drains. The whole site will be lined, so when the rain hits it with plastic, once we've finished gravelling the drains up, we haven't even started gravelling the drains up yet.
What do you use for that, like a 14 or a 20?
We're using 20, and then we're using 14 to complete the whole site on top of the plastic. And then we're going to be, we need to basically have 75mm of cover everywhere. So the site's not going to be completely flat. There'll be a slight natural slope, but it'll be workable, completely workable. They don't really bring trucks in except into this area here. Yep. So we're just talking to the customer about how we're going to stabilise that. And there's going to be an igloo built here. So apart from that...
So that's an igloo there?
Yeah, that's
But there'll be a more modern version
There'll be a
of that.
more modern version of that here. Yep. We're not got anything to do with building the igloo. Yep. We're just providing some points for irrigation for the igloo.
Let's go ahead and see you.
And then we, what we're going to be doing is we're putting some irrigation in, which will be under the crush rock. So the bulk of the crush rock.
What's that going to be for?
So the irrigation's for potted.
So it's so it's still going to come above the crush rock, but
it'll come above.
So all your sub mains will be underground or under rock.
Yep. So we'll end up having in the centre, the gravel will be around 250 mil thick. We're doing all the irrigation.
So you'll come up to the fences. Like, obviously, you've got that kind of.
Not quite. There'll be a little bit of a gap underneath.
But that's why they've been built like that.
Yep. And we've used blue line HDP poly for everything because it's going to be pretty shallow.
Will it be welded or compression?
No, it'll be compression.
You won't need to weld it.
Won't need to weld it.
Do you choose to use fuel mac for that stuff?
We choose. Look, not really. We normally shop it out and whatever the supplier's going to give us.
Or Plazon or anything like that.
Plazon,
Look,
fuel mac.
They're all for this especially.
We tend to fusion weld once we hit 63 mil and over.
Yep. Adelaide's the same.
Yeah.
And we only push fuel mac because it's made in SA.
Yeah.
So that's why Waterpro choose it. But obviously, once you get to commercial viability, obviously you also need to be able to make sure that you're still competitive. Because if you're competing against someone else and they're doing a cheaper product, then
So, in saying that, the material quite often we very rarely lose a project based on the material because the bulk of what we do is labour.
Yeah, and the material, like everyone's buying the same stuff. If they doubled the cost, then they're going to be getting silly. But no one's doing that.
That's right. So. The 32. So we're using. There's 7 valves in this.
Yep.
We're bringing up 1500 mil risers.
Yep.
And then we, funnily enough, which some people find this a little bit strange, but they just perform really well in this situation. We're using MP rotators.
I thought you were going to say drippers. I'm like, dude,
no.
You don't need to come up to put down. No, I get it. When was the last time we've done them above ground? A lot of people in South Australia in the home garden are using them.
Yeah.
I guess the eastern suburbs where they still want their risers. Obviously, you guys have got some above ground stuff there that looks a lot different to.
Which we didn't do any of that.
But that's what these will have, these little plots.
That will look a little bit different.
So what do they grow over there for nursery? Is this going to be food?
No, this is for nursery.
Yep.
This is for nursery as well.
Yep.
So they've got some bigger growing contracts now.
And the reason you've gone with slotted pipe over, say, an ag pipe, is that just the structural integrity of the pipe?
Yeah, just the structural integrity. We can move more away. I find it's easier to grade than using...
Yeah, because it's got its own...
The poly, it's straight.
What do you call it? Integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same reason that we generally steer clear of poly for suction lines because it's hard to grade it. So quite often we come across specs for suction lines in poly and we generally steer clear unless we do them straight. Unless we can get them in straight. So,
which you should be able to buy lengths over here, but why stuff around if you're going to be buying PVC anyway.
So with the fusion welded stuff, like you were saying before, 63 and over is good.
Yep.
We try to generally buy some straight lengths now.
Yep.
So if we're doing valve assemblies and things, because coils are painful.
Most specs are now being written with 50 mil and up, or anything that's 63 and up is EF, but we're getting some 40 mil EF coming into the valve sets in EF because I think the cost's becoming less prohibitive and more guys have got welders. Not that should really bother the people writing the specs, but it's just...
Welding's so common now, so we can butt weld up to 315.
As in you've got your own
We've got our own equipment up to... we got a butt welder 90 to 315.
Yeah.
And the guy... Look, to be honest, the guys get pretty bored butt welding, but because especially when you're doing big sizes, there's a lot of standing around. Now, we've got them moving a little bit more, and actually they prefer it. We now hire another welder in, and we used to use an 8 kVA generator for one welder, but now hire a 20 kVA, and we get 2 welders going at once.
Yeah, so they might as well be working if they're going to be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
they can just play Candy Crush or something.
I had one really meticulous guy that he just rake and around. Everything was just perfect till the next weld. So
they're the best. My father-in-law is really like that, and he worked for me for a bit, and the warehouse never looked better. Like he'd come back, he'd work for a week because someone had gone on annual leave or whatever. He's happy to help out when he can. or when we need him. And then he'd come back for like a Christmas show. He's like, "What have you done to my warehouse?" Sorry.
So yeah, on the poly welding, you'd need really meticulous staff on it because it's actually pretty easy to stuff up.
Yeah, and they're big, and that's expensive.
On the 315, it's expensive and heavy and painful to move. And so yes, on this site we're using a Rainbird ESP LXME control. Oh no, an LXE. Hang on, what are we?
An LX.
No,
MEFAU?
Yeah, it's got the F on the end. LXMEF.
Yeah, flows,
LXMEF.
So the new LX. Are you going to use a trial one out here?
No, is it LXME?
No, sorry.
It's not the
I'm
domestic
thinking
one.
of the ESPME. They've got a new one out with flow. You're talking about the LXMEFAU, which is the commercial, like 30 station.
Yes.
Which you can put a comms cartridge.
You can put a comms cartridge, which we're putting on a lot of jobs. Yep. This one won't have a comms cartridge, but they got.
But it's there if you need to.
Yeah. So I still get confused with all product numbers and names and things, but
I do too, and I own an irrigation shop.
But we've found that controller really good, the Rainbird one.
That's I've made plenty of videos about it. I call it my controller of choice. I'll have one at my house. I better not pay for it, but I make enough videos for them. I'm sure I'll be able to sneak a controller in. But with the Wi-Fi, sorry, not that one. The MEA. I'm talking about the ESPME. Residentially. The 22 station expandable for you guys to use them on your residential jobs. Yeah. Then again, the MEFAU is like $380.
Yeah, that's right. I still would prefer. I think if you're going to go down the world of a cloud-based thing, you really still need to have some sort of flow monitoring.
Yeah, which the ESPME is about to.
Okay. Yeah. So
I'm surprised they haven't called you.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them.
Yeah. So look, this is a pretty simple irrigation job. There's nothing super special about it.
Well, it's beautiful. There's nothing here.
Yeah,
there's no trees. There's no cars. There's no paths.
And we're principal contractor on this one, which means we get to come in, do the job, move out. This a week ago. So we started on this site last Monday, and we moved. I haven't got the truck dockets yet, but between 500 and 700 cubes.
What?
Of soil.
What was here? A pile.
We just to get the V out. Yeah. To get the V out, we used a contractor. He's got a 25 tonner, which is a bit on his 25 tonner on his bucket. He's got a funny arm, which means that he can turn his bucket sideways, which means he could do the V drains really well. It's actually quite strange to have a funny arm on a massive machine because we're the bomb. And then we use a dual grade laser and so we're just going around just checking fall at the moment before we lay the drains.
It seems like this has been over-spec'd. Are you guys going to too much of an extreme, or this is just where it's at now from that nursery and garden? Like it just needs to be done.
We're probably chucking in the 2 drains is probably a tad overkill, but really we're here. It's open.
It's going to be completely buried with gravel.
It's going to be completely buried with gravel. Why not? I mean, slotted 90mm PVC is worth absolutely nothing, and I'd love to chuck another couple $100 of drain in to make it work.
Yeah, will work better. Yeah,
better.
Or to cover that 1 in 50 year or 1 in 100 year flood, not just the 1 in 20 or whatever. Yeah,
and the 1 in 50 year flood that we get every second year now. Yeah. So
welcome to Victoria.
It's and what was really cool about bringing it out here, we actually did allow to originally drain it back this way, and we're going to cut down the front of that building, and we found a pit down there. But on further investigation, once we got awarded the job, we actually found the exit point to the drainage out that end, and it was just made more point. It made more sense to tip it and go to the outfall, because it meant that we definitely wouldn't back up any of their existing infrastructure there.
Yeah, true. Imagine that. And then they might choose to then use that water one day.
Yeah, that's right. And they may. A lot of nurseries are. So at the moment, these guys are rolling out this plastic here, and they're going to line the drain. But tomorrow I've got a roller coming, and before we finish off, because between the 2 plastic sections there'll be another bit of plastic.
So they're going to do like a...
And we will roll that in tomorrow with 1.5 ton roller. Just to flatten it out so it's all nice. Then the challenge is just getting this level and not ripping the plastic when the trucks come in.
That's the first thing I thought of, that's so fragile. But
so what we're doing is we're going to start building it from this side. So trucks will come in, lay gravel, push it out, the truck then can drive over the gravel further. We've got it coming in tandems, not truck and trailer.
I found we used to do subsurface irrigation, and we did the same with loam. So you'd basically throw loam in front of you over the drip tube, and then drive over the loam, and you're kind of fine.
Yeah. So we were just concerned. I mean, you get the material cheaper if you bring it in truck and trailer.
Yeah, no
way. But they could technically do it, but they've got to spin it here, and so we just opted for tandem.
Yep.
And to be honest, I allowed for truck and trailer, but we're paying a little bit more to do it in tandem. Yeah. So
exactly what we talked about before, though. If the client gets a better job, and you can sleep at night knowing that you haven't broken anything.
Yep. So. So and we've got a good crew here. The reason the posie's not being used is because we just have a truck and posie today. We only had a little bit of soil left to move, so I asked for an operator who's got his own truck. Yep. So he'll pretty much be doing this all day.
Yeah.
Whereas
then
last
you're only
week,
paying the hour. For him, not for the hour.
Fin waiting. We last week we had 4 truck and trailers lining up, moving this out on Thursday and Friday last week.
It's a crazy looking machine, hey?
Yeah. So
from what was 20 years ago with bobcats.
Oh yeah, they've come a long way. Well, that Kubota over there is ours.
Yep.
And we get tons of use out of that.
I was going to say that'd be the perfect size for what you do.
Yep.
Benching out valve boxes and digging these kind of trenches.
All that sort of thing. And we've got a Vermeer as well, which is the stand-on.
That's your
loader
chosen brand Vermeer for that kind of thing.
The Vermeer, there's no lack of option in that mini loader world.
I've seen the Vermeers as a premier against a lot of the other ones. A lot of the guys we deal with choose Vermeer.
They're certainly more expensive. What I loved about the Vermeer was 80% of what we do is trenching. Yep. And I really think what matters with trenching is traction and power.
Yep.
If you don't have the traction, your trench will turn at 100 miles an hour and you won't go anywhere. Yep. So having the tracks was the key thing there. I'm not, like, the Vermeer's pretty good. I'm not super wrapped with, we bought a model that had apparently turns out had an issue with some track rollers or something.
Well, a known issue, but
I don't know if it was known or not. I'm not going to say anything to accuse anyone of anything, but to be honest, it looks like I'm going to have to pay a fortune for track rollers, which I'm not really happy about. So next time a machine comes up, I'll probably go someone else. There's more option now. Toro's got a pretty good machine now, from what I could see, with the tracks. The ones that are out there that have a track that goes over a wheel, I'm not really interested in. I like a dedicated track.
Yeah, So is that a track that goes over a wheel, or that's dedicated?
No, that's dedicated. But
like that's a tank.
Yeah, and that's a. We wouldn't buy a machine that big.
No. So you put water in this to help?
Yeah, there was some existing drainage coming from that site, which is now we've had to integrate it into this one. It's only a 50 mil drain. Yep. Just think they did a bit of...
And there was no drainage over there, so it's not going to be any drainage kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This water's slowly making its way.
It's interesting though. I guess for me, as well as the people that watch our thing, I don't get to a lot of drainage jobs. It's always landscaping, to be honest. So yeah. It's good to get an understanding of how this all goes together. So they'll run down there and then you'll tee them into
a 150.
And then you'll head out.
Yep. And so what we're going to do, when we come out of the 150, once we hit where that fence is going to go across, that's where the plastic will stop.
Yep.
And where we come out of the site, we're going to concrete the edge of the plastic and where the drain goes through to essentially seal it. So we want to then catch all that water into the drain. Yep. So we'll also have a slotted running down there, and the slotted will end there.
Then it opens up.
Then it goes. That will punch into a pit there, just so they've got some access for cleaning out and stuff. And then that just goes into a solid 150. Yep. Just running down.
And then you're done. Well, you gravel and.
Well, we've got the gravel. We're only going to be here for a couple more weeks. It's fingers crossed it doesn't rain. As we've been pretty lucky. Like the weekend we're going to start it absolutely poured down. And of course I woke up on the Saturday night and I'm just like, oh gee. No. And I thought, imagine all the roof plumbers around waking up right now with all the roofs that they.
Because you don't think about it until it's a problem for you. Yeah. So, well, I had a roof done at my house and the guy, it's leaking when it really rains and he doesn't respond to my text messages now. So
yeah. Shipping containers staying there. They just wanted it to stay there.
So cover it with Atlantis grow walls.
Yeah. Yep. So Part of the job was in the setup, we did dial before you dig,
Yep.
a pretty major Telstra
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't want to be touching any of
line
that,
came
would
up, but it ran outside. There's a, I think that property there is owned by the Defence Force
Yep.
or something, and the Telstra line runs on the other side of the fence. We did a bit of investigation into that, make sure we weren't going to come across anything.
There's
As you can
your
imagine,
risk,
it'll be
yeah.
pretty big
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Oh
there.
man, imagine you hit that.
Yeah.
See you later, house.
Yeah, that's right. So we had on the dial before we dig stuff, we had sewer running up the back of the property and their main council drain,
Yep.
which outfalls into a wetlands off the site. So there was that. All the rest of the infrastructure was out on the main road up there.
It's a good site then, isn't it? There's just this one of your trucks coming in now.
Pretty clear. So this is our truck coming in now that that's got the operator. It's going to keep loading up. The issue that we had here was that we didn't end up really getting down to super solid. Oh, we got down to it, but what we removed was mainly organic because there's a lot of grass on it.
Yep.
So it wasn't accepted as clean fill.
Ugh.
Yeah, so it had to be tipped.
Yep.
So
That increases the cost by
increases the cost.
$90 a tonne or something.
So, and look, there's customer sort of understands that we're quite transparent in our quotation about where it's going to, where some ifs and buts are, and
Do what the earth moving guys in Adelaide do, just buy a block of land on the hill face and just dump it there and don't tell anyone. Charge them $100 a tonne.
yeah, that happens here as well.
Yeah.
But really, this is pretty small in the scheme of things. 500 to 700 cubes is sort of nothing compared to what's happening across Melbourne at the moment with level crossings and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
And then so we come down here.
I think we're about to get some noise. That's so quiet, eh?
Yeah. So even though you see Kristen pinning the stuff in, we will be overlapping that with another plastic.
Yeah, that's just to get it in now.
That's just to get it in now, yeah. So try not to get you too dirty.
That's right. I don't often wear my nice shoes, it was just for you. I usually walk around in sneakers.
We're just gonna get the excavator back here and just fix up some of the grades through this back trench.
Yep. And that's what Richard was just checking then, all these heights.
Rich was just checking. We got 4, we just want to sort of smooth it out, get it on a bit better grade. And that's where we go down to that main drain. Where that big tree is, that's about where we had to outfall.
So you're going to send two pipes in each trench?
Yep.
Actually, you might want to grab some of that. So that's how it looks when it's... Yep, and then they'll kind of elbow T, TT.
Yep. So obviously when we lay the gravel in, we'll push them to the edges.
Yep.
The crush rock has got no fines in it for drainage.
Yep.
So it won't compact at all.
And this will never block up.
And this will never block up. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Hopefully Richard hasn't left because he's got my bag in his car.
No, I don't think you would.
Cool job.
Yeah, so
and then once that's done, you put your blue line in. Sprinklers. Be good. Maybe if you can send us some photos once you've done it.
Yeah.
Oop.
So the operator, we're getting an operator in who's really crash hot to come and smooth it out. So what we will be doing is through this site, once we've got all the plastic down, we'll be, like I said, we're laying the irrigation on the surface.
Yep.
So the irrigation is not going to have a ton of depth, but there's no trucks running across this ever.
Yep.
There's just handheld. It'll have about roughly 200 mil of crushed rock over it. So once we've laid all the plastic out, we'll be coming and putting star pickets in to get the locations of all the heads.
Yep. So you can remember them later.
Yeah, so Richard uses Space Pro for his spacings.
Yep.
I think we had a scheduling coefficient of about 1.2 here once we're at 4.5 metre spacings with MP rotators.
With the 1000s?
With the 1000s.
Yep.
Which is pretty good.
Yep.
Like that met the specification for the nursery guidelines. Yep. So, and it's, so I mean, we quite often use Space Pro and
That's what we use for our designs. Design them in CAD and then just get the space. We'll get the space data. We've got all their rainbow data if you need it as well.
Okay.
It took us about a month to get it, so
okay.
if he ever needs like 8005s or 5000s data, I've got fresh data.
It's interesting just to plot out different brands and see where they sit.
See what the map looks like.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I'd never really knew much about it until recently, and Matt showed me, because we've gotten into design a lot more.
Yeah.
And then you look at it and go, oh, okay, that's why that doesn't work.
So it's sort of good to move past, we just do head-to-head, or we just do this, or we just do that, and look at each job unique.
And that's the advantage of having a certified or nearly certified or formally certified irrigation designer.
So Rich was certified, and he just let it lapse, which is regretting, because he's about to do his last exam to
it's a bitch of an exam.
So he was originally drip micro. And he was for a lot of years.
Landscape?
He's now doing a landscape stream, because that's really what our business is in. And he might then go back, and he thinks he might add some.
I think it's a joke that there's 3 separate ones. Like, just make it one, make it Australian.
Yeah.
You know, it's all done in gallons and feet, and it's just.
I don't know what the exams look like now. I know that the book's a little bit better than it was 10 years ago. So you buy the 6th edition, it looks a bit better. Used to be a big photocopied thing.
Yeah.
And our staff are doing the irrigation. I've got 2 staff about to get a 3rd doing the Irrigation Association Cert 3.
Yep.
That I think are running through the Reese store in Ringwood.
Yep. They've got a training facility there.
A training facility. So we've got 2 staff at the moment doing that, and we're going to have a 3rd doing the October one. So everyone's either qualified or being qualified in our business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is important to you.
Really important.
Because you mentioned that the first time I spoke to you, that you were like might have been the only like irrigation.
Oh, so in terms of certification, I think at this stage I'm the only certified contractor in Victoria, I think. With the Irrigation Association.
Anyone listening or watching that
and you got to remember, that's different from licensing. That's different from qualifications.
Yeah, it's a toothless tiger in a way, but eventually it'll become something.
But it shows our commitment. Where there's to keep it. There's some ethical stuff we need to abide by, which we got no issues abiding by. We're licensed as well, so I've got one guy doing a plumbing apprenticeship under me. So I'm a licensed plumber. I've got a diploma of irrigation.
Saw the cards.
Yeah, so I think I might go down a road of doing my CID. I just feel like it might just be the next
If you've got the brain for it, do it. But man, I couldn't. I couldn't go do a probably TAFE course in like Cert 2 in anything retail, man. My attention span is so bad. I'd be like, off we go.
I'm a little bit the same. Having Rich there with a completed one is probably
that would help so much.
So just
but it would only be for your peace of mind, because the company doesn't need it if he's got it, you know.
That's right.
It's just if you become a professional student.
Yeah, and I don't do a whole lot of courses, to be honest. It's
This is another thing, man. This isn't just going to like a Tony Robbins seminar or something like this. Is like learning, like reading and reading and reading.
It's well, I've got the book, which is a start.
Well, start reading it.
Yeah, so we'll get Rich.
When they do it as an audio version, I'll listen to it, but I'm not reading it.
It is pretty full on. I've read through some of it. It's pretty full on. It would be great if they had some sort of workshop leading up to it.
I'd say 5 years from now there'll be stuff. I don't know if it, like, I was thinking if it was an option and I needed to get it, I'd go. Can I go to the US and go sit it, like, because it's all US anyway, and learn it and do like a 4-week intensive and just sit there and that's all I do and then come back with it, because I wouldn't be able to have the discipline to sit down and do it over whatever, you know.
But I mean, Rich has done it before, so he barely has to put anything into it to re-get it. He's just got to sit the exams. He's done a graduate certificate in irrigation at Charles Sturt as well, so he's really highly qualified, and actually qualified in an agricultural stream.
So this is just going through the process.
This is going through the process, getting it. It gives if it gives customers some confidence, we should have it.
Because you know you're good, and you can tell anyone you're good, but
the licensing's been a frustration for us, because a lot of our competitors aren't licensed. And that's actually
but you're expected
that
to be,
starts getting. becoming a legal thing.
Yep.
When
They're
we're
still winning
competing against people who aren't even legally meant to be installing.
Yeah.
This doesn't really fall into urban irrigation, I don't think.
Yep.
Because it's a nursery. In saying that, though, I will still sign off that we are going to be putting a backflow device in here.
Yep.
And for this section, and yeah, that will get a sign off with the Victorian Building Authority from me.
Yep. You register it.
Yep. Yep. So it's we sign a lot of so we do a lot of compliance certificates.
So you do backflow.
I don't do backflow checks because it's like a 4-day course, and once I do the install, I'm allowed to legally install it.
Yeah.
But the backflow check, you can make $150 off one.
Yeah.
And that's what I pay someone to come in.
Yep.
Richard's nephew, who I actually did my apprenticeship under, works for another company, and he does all that backflow.
Yeah, cool. And that's also protecting the herd.
Yeah.
You know, like he's part of your family.
Then, yeah, that's right. So he does them all, and if we have, I'll quite often get him in. Like we've done some fire services and stuff, and if it's full-blown plumbing, his name's Lee and myself will go do them. Okay. Myself,
because
Lee,
you need
and
more,
Dave.
More hands on deck.
And it falls under really a proper plumbing licensing stream.
Yep.
Some of the irrigation contracts we've taken on have included some fire service stuff.
Yep.
And we're lucky enough that we're actually legally able to do it. So I'll get Lee in, he'll work as a subcontractor. I'll get Dave, our plumbing apprentice, so he's
getting experience as well,
and I'll be there as well.
Yep.
Normally they're pretty silly days when we get the old crew back together, but there's been some, and sometimes we've worked whole nights as well, and normally there's lots of dancing and Beatles and the Beatles playing. And
my son, who's 5, loves the Beatles. His dad, Dad, let it be on. I'm like, all right. So it could be worse. Could be listening to Nicki Minaj or something. So. All right. Well, we probably should get moving.
Yeah, cool.
Really, really appreciate your time, man.
No worries.
You. Really good to see you again.